And it's Dan and James talking about the Villa games. Hi there, everybody, and welcome back to the AVFC Faithful YouTube channel, joined as always by Dan and James. And this week we are going through a loss. And, well, I guess some people would have predicted it. We definitely didn't, talking about it beforehand. But it's a weird one this week, isn't it, James?
Yeah, it is. It's one of the. It's actually quite interesting to me that we see this as a game that we could and probably should have done better in against Liverpool at Anfield, which I think is a sign in itself of what we expect this season from the team. But yeah, it is disappointing. But we'll get into it, and I think that there needs to be a bit of context applied as well.
Yeah, well, we're same with everything, isn't it? The score sheet doesn't really tell the whole story of a game, and it definitely didn't against Newcastle. It definitely doesn't today. Got a bit to cover as well. Obviously, we had the happier side of Burnley and Hibs, and obviously the group stage draw, which was quite a nice little one. So, I guess we'll dive straight in with what's fresh on the mind with Liverpool. Obviously, it was a 3-0 defeat today away at Anfield. Sunday 2:00 kickoff. We won't talk about the fact it's not on Sky because I think everyone covers that enough on Twitter, probably myself included. But by all accounts, actually, the Palace Wolves game was actually quite a good game in the end anyway. So it looks like it worked out for everyone. But it was like you said, it's one of those games where we've been talking about it for ages, where you're thinking, look, actually, we could do something here. It's not beyond the realms of possibility. But it kind of went to pot, didn't it? Straight away. I mean, you can't. The last thing you can do when you go to one of these grounds is concede straight away, and it's what we did. A bit naive at the start, silly corner to give away, and I mean, I've seen a couple of tweets already that are saying, Salah stood in front of Martinez and yada yada yada. I mean, if the Ake one for the Man City goal is not getting taken away, that one definitely isn't. But I mean, Martinez isn't getting that anyway. 9 times out of 10, that's going straight. It was a hell of a finish, wasn't it, by Szoboszlai?
Yeah, Szoboszlai.
Yeah, I feel like I've got that well. But you can't do that, can you? You can't concede early, especially away at Anfield.
No, it affects your game plan. Like straight away, you're then chasing it, and they've got the tails up at home, and Anfield is a tough place to go in the first place. But yeah, it was a sloppy on the ball from Pau to give away that corner, but then the ball comes in, it evades everyone, and it's just really sweetly struck. And maybe they could have got out to him quicker. Maybe you could have cleared it from the corner, but it was just such a really nicely hit goal. And then after that, I think the thing is that we're trying to be in games at the moment. We want to be on the ball more than not. So a game today where we'd have probably been better soaking up pressure and hitting them on the break a bit more. We don't really want to do that, but then at the same time, we do sort of want to sit high up the pitch, but we don't press high enough for that. So it's just a bit disjointed today, but I don't think we were extremely bad. I think there's been a lot of talk that we were awful, but I think we had moments, and like the McGinn chance, the Watkins-Bailey mix-up chance, things like that. I think those go in and it just changed the game a bit, like the Cash header as well. It was only 2-0, wasn't it? So if that goes in, it changes the dynamics and stuff. But make no mistake, that was a game where we missed Mings again today. Torres needs time still. He needs time. I keep seeing wildly differing opinions on him, that he's elite, and the next week he's not convincing, he's crap, and it's just like, give him time. And we just need to account for what his strengths and weaknesses are, and we'll find the formula. And today was just an off day.
Yeah, it did. I mean, obviously, when you play against Liverpool, everything seems to go through Salah. But that first half, it did seem that up until, obviously, we'll touch on Carlos as well, going off injured. Up until he went off and we made the defensive change, Luis Diaz was so wide open, wasn't he, on Konsa's side? I mean, again, the problem is people go, well, that's because the three at the back isn't working. Don't really think so. I think the problem with Liverpool is if you tuck out there, all it takes is Szoboszlai or McAllister to slide in there where Konsa would have been. You're then doubling up on the far right side, which means you've not got your right outlet as soon as you get the ball. Because again, we're playing a system where we believe in ourselves to get the ball from transition when we defend and then play it forwards. So I don't think really, to be honest, the initial defensive system was bad. I mean, it's clear to see we conceded as many chances before we made that change to after. I think it was proactive by Emery. I could see what he was trying to do. I think Cash's the commentator who was speaking on my game made a point. Obviously, Cash isn't really a dribbler. He's not going to beat a man like Bailey did, and I think Bailey did quite a couple of times as well. He did actually impress me a fair bit today. But when you do that and make that change, again, you're trying to settle again, and it's disjointed. And I mean, it's no surprise really you concede so soon after that happens again. Unfortunate, really, isn't it? That Cash own goal, but again, it's hard to sort of argue against the fact that I think you mentioned it before we started recording. It was a bit naive by Emery to think that the same system that we employed against Newcastle would work against Liverpool, and it's going to happen, isn't it? I mean, he's a great manager, absolutely amazing manager, and he's my favourite manager we've ever had. But he's going to make mistakes. He's not perfect. Every manager makes mistakes, so it's a learning curve for a lot of the players. And I think you're right. I think the main thing we're missing is that left-hand side. Like I mentioned earlier, it did start going through Salah a lot more easier when Dini's pushing up. Hasn't got the pace that Moreno has to get back. And I mean, again, I was talking earlier to some people, and I was saying obviously we went from so hard to beat at the end of last season to being quite almost weak at times. And I think a lot of that comes from JJ, from Ramsey on the left as well. He's so proactive in his defence as well. McGinn is as well, but McGinn's learning how to play on that left side with Dean instead of playing with Cash on the right, for example, or in the middle. It's going to be difficult, and I think I do. It may sound quite naive of myself to think so, but I do think we're so much better in 2 weeks' time when we come back with Ramsey, Moreno, both or one of them coming back into the team.
Yeah, we will be. And is it Palace at home next? I think it is.
Yeah.
It's a good fixture to come back to. You know, it's not easy. I'm not saying that we're going to have to be on our game still. I mean, they scored some nice goals today, Palace did, and you know the threat that they carry. But it's a sort of team that we tend to work out at the moment. I think we look like we're going to get past teams that are around us or below us, and then it's going to be a real battle and challenge for the ones above us. So we'll see how that one goes. But yeah, if Moreno's back, that's a bonus. If JJ's back soon, that's a bonus. And then I also think, you know, there is the whole talk about managing your squad around Europe. But I also think Europe can have a really good effect on your league form as well at times. So we could use that. It might be a building block for any sort of developments in tactics or however we deploy teams. So we have to see how the Carlos injury is as well and stuff like that. But we have got a really good core, and I think this is one of those where we want to attack the season a little bit different this year. I think we want the ball more, and it's finding the formula of how you keep high up the pitch, but don't want to be sort of, you know, really exposed to your weaknesses. So we'll find it. We'll find that sort of perfect balance, and you know, you can't eradicate the two good victories against Everton and Burnley, and the ones at Hibs. They're not good sides, but you know, we've been convincing against them as well, which you know you get from the better sides in the league. So we're sort of following that. It's just how we bridge that gap between us and the other top sides. So yeah, it a frustrating one today. It was similar to the Newcastle one in the sense, but you know we've just got to build on it, and we've got to stay focused for the whole season. And there will be ups and downs, and we'll find form at some point. I think, you know, where we hit a really good purple patch like we did that, you know, the back end of last season. You know, that's another thing when I think about it. This team, it's quite strange that the heads drop at the moment. It's the big size, because I watch this team fight everything to get just the Conference League.
Yeah.
Last season, I watched them that they wanted it, and even in tough times like the Brentford game where it looked like we were never scoring, and then we pop up with a late goal. I've seen the mentality that they do have it. It's just gone a bit missing recently, and I'm convinced that we'll find it again because we've brought in players that have that mentality themselves. So, you know, give it time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sound sort of defeatist because obviously we do want to be up and around there, but when you're looking at the points on offer, the points difference between winning and drawing and stuff against the big six, the Sky Six, whatever you want to describe it, the point differential between what you get from winning all those games to winning all the games from below, from eighth and downwards, it's so big. And you know, you've got so, it's almost like when you the head dropping thing really frustrates me, and it will always frustrate everyone because it's not more so that I expect, but you just know they can be better than that, and you know that they don't do that. I think you're right. I think a lot of that does come from having players like Mings at the back. I mean, they knew what he could do for them and know what he could bring for them. It's sort of the case for me is that when I come out of these losses, I care more about performance more so than the actual result itself, because again, I'd rather just continuously perform well. And against Newcastle, I think the Newcastle performance was better than this performance personally. I think I saw a bit more, but again, I think it's different because when you're playing away at Anfield, they just control, don't they? I mean, they just knock it around like you're not even there at times. And let's be perfectly fair to them, they were so on it today. They played pretty much perfectly, I'd say, apart from the obvious gap at the back with Van Dijk. And the only thing I wanted to touch on was I think that Diaby made some really good runs, and Bailey at that back, and Digne put in a couple of great balls as well. And I think our corners were actually better today as well. I mean, we actually got on the end of our corner, as in attacking, not defending. But we came onto the end of them quite well a couple of times. And like I say, that cash header is really a catalyst, isn't it? You score straight from second half, and the game plan changes, and their game plan changes, and the heads drop maybe on their side more so. But as soon as they tap that third one in, I mean, even fans are like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine." You know, sort of you drop back, but it's a strange one, and I think we feel a lot different if it's 3-1 than 3-0. Chances missed massively. I think for me the worst bit is when there's no. You need the midfield to be perfectly on it away at Anfield, because that's going to win you or lose you the game. Because if they can just cut through that bit, I mean, the attackers aren't really destined to be there to stop what they do, because they operate so widely through Trent coming in. Trent was given so much time and so much space, and that's the last thing you need. That, I mean, he thrives off of that, and I think he did quite well defensively when asked to as well. And that's not great, because you want a Trent that's not on his defensive game, because when he is on it, he's a very good defender. It's just most of the time he doesn't bother trying, and that's what we needed today. But yeah, I think that was for me the main one, because you get Douglas Luiz, Kamara, McGinn when he drops in, you do expect maybe sort of more from them today. I think McGinn actually had quite a good game at times, and I think also Douglas Luiz did as well. I think Kamara struggled a bit. I think he always struggles a bit more when we're more out of possession than in it. I think he's such more I want to say reactive defender. So like if he sort of, for example, if he's dominating and then they're all of a sudden attacking, he's better on it. But when he's constantly sat back, I think from what we've seen, he seems to have struggled a bit more, like against Liverpool, for example. So I think for me that was the more disappointing area, was just seeing the individual, I don't want to say mess, but the individual sort of reactions from the back and the midfield, because like I said, you're not going to win without your mid.
Yeah, I think with Kamara, I think he's much more of a box to box player than I originally thought. I said that a few months after he came to the club, and I feel like he could play as sort of like an 8/6. I think that him and Louise have both benefit from having someone sitting behind them, but that itself changes the whole dynamic to the team, because you want Diaby still central, so then you probably have to put Cash as like a bombing on fullback,
Yeah,
and then to keep with your three at the back, you'd need to drop that 6 in between them. It changes all the dynamics, so it's really really tough. And I think that a lot of the time today, you saw the Louise and Kamara were overrun in midfield, and they didn't know when to jump and when not to. So that's why I think sort of sitting off them a bit and being compact would have been a lot more beneficial to us, because you're forcing them to work the ball then, and then you can work on the gaps that they leave when they're going side to side. So yeah, we were just one outwitted and just outclassed. You can't that Liverpool team and say we should beat them, because I mean the quality that they've got is incredible. They have got a defence that you can get at, and we should have took a couple of chances today. But you look at their midfield and front three, and yeah, you can always concede 3 goals to that. The manner of how we conceded was annoying. We probably could have conceded better goals than the ones that we did, which is also frustrating. So yeah, it was one of those games. A result out of it would have been a bonus for me, and I thought that we might get a point out of it, but it wasn't to be today.
I mean, it's a better start to the season than we had last year. I mean, that's always something to keep an eye on. 6 points on 4 games.
Yeah.
All right, I guess we're all looking at it thinking, of course, we'd rather be, unbeaten at this stage or whatever. But I mean, it's nothing to really sneer your nose up at. There's still, for example, last year, I mean, we're losing away at Bournemouth. This year, we're losing away at Newcastle for our first game. That's fine to me. It still signals an improvement. And the games that we have to win and we need to win comfortably, we are winning comfortably. Against Burnley, for example. And I just wanted to, we're not really going to talk too much about Burnley, but I mean, that's a game where, again, Kamara has a fantastic game. Douglas Luiz has a great game, and obviously Matty Cash in his new role there. And that's less though talking about the game, but the thing I really want to chat to you about is something that I think I've tweeted about probably 20 times now. I tweeted about it a lot last Sunday because people were like, Cash at right mid, what's he doing? What's going on here? This is ridiculous. And the first thing I always say is horses for courses. It feels like Emery's building a team where he can swap out where he thinks people are going to be against who he's playing against. Sometimes it works dead on perfectly. I mean, it clearly did against Burnley. Conza had a fantastic game at right back. Cash had a great game at right mid. Whatever he played, it was very good. He did exactly what was asked of him. And again, you're seeing then Digne had a great game. He also has a good game against Hibs as well when he plays the week before, 2 weeks before. So, it's a lot. It feels to me that I don't know what you see, but again, like players like Zaniolo and stuff, Bailey, Diaby, you got Ramsey coming back, McGinn in his 3 different positions he plays now. It does seem like Emery's building a team where he's going to employ complete different setups, player-wise, to counteract who he's playing against.
Yeah, kind of. I think he's brought in these players that have got different qualities, and also they are just quality players. I think it's finding the best blend of them, and then how you fit them in the sort of system, but also being able to tweak it when needed for tougher games or easier games. I think we'll stumble upon the right setup at some point of who's playing. I think Zaniolo looked really good when he came on today. He does look, he looks like he's come in and he doesn't mind the pace or the physicality of this league, and he's got the quality on the ball as well. So, yeah, it's sort of what I've been expecting as well. So that's been nice. And DRB, yeah, I thought he was really good again today. That's one of the positives out of the game. He looks a real live wire, doesn't he? He's just so fun to watch. I think he only had really the one chance, which he tried to bend around the defender into the corner, but tough finish that had been. So, but yeah, the squad's really flexible. That's why I'm not too worried about the extra depth up front, because you've got Watkins and Diaby that are the front two, obviously, but then you've got Zaniolo, Duran. You can play McGinn in the front two. You can play Bailey in the front two, depending on who you're playing against. So I'm not worried about that. I think that sort of flexibility is beneficial to us about stumbling upon something. And I don't want to say stumbling upon something as if Emery's someone that's just feeling around in the dark, but sometimes you set up in a way for a game that you haven't before, and then you feel like this is right. This is the one that you keep going with. So I think that he'll come across something soon when tinkering that we're gonna sort of settle on, and we'll pick up and have a good bout of form. So we'll see how it goes. We've still got a bit of a tough run, I think, haven't we? I can't remember who it is up against after Palace, but we have got a bit of a tough run.
Why do I feel like it's Chelsea? I feel like Chelsea's in there.
Yeah, we've got Wolves as well, haven't we? Is that the Molyneux or?
Well, it goes Palace at home, then Chelsea away, then Brighton at home, then Wolves away.
Yeah,
that's our next 4.
Wolves away is like playing Brazil 1970. So every time, and Brighton. I know we're at home. Brighton are a tough team. It's another side where you think give them a bit of the ball and sit back a bit, but we fed off pressing them high last time.
Yeah,
and we played the high line, which it did sort of hinder us at times in that game, but it was it was clearly the right call. So it's so hard to call what to do. This is why it's hard to say about the high line today. Emery shouldn't have done it, but then we've seen against Newcastle and Brighton last season, admittedly with Mings, that's the big difference. And Moreno and Ramsey, you can see why he wants to, because he wants to be aggressive and get on the ball more. But it is a tough run to come up, and you've got to add in between there the Conference League fixtures. I think Legia Warsaw is what, the 21st, 20th, 21st.
Whichever one's the Thursday, yeah.
I think it's my daughter's birthday.
Yeah, 21st.
21st, yeah, it's daughter's birthday, so she can sit in the corner for a bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you got to account for that as well. And this is what you need the squad for. And I think we can't overreact to the result. We'll be fine. As I say, I'll keep saying it. We'll find the formula for it.
Look, we've got at least another 40 games coming this season. It's a long season. That's assuming that we don't make out the group stages. So, it's so much left to do and so much left to build upon. Players coming back. I think it is just sort of that. I hate international break, right? I think I made this clip before. I think it's the worst thing in football. However, I think it comes at a really good time for us because it does give everyone a chance to maybe sit back and just go, right, it's been a hectic couple of weeks. We had the Europa Conference League, we had the transfer window, everything going on. I think a lot of our fans as well are just going to benefit from just having a week off and just being all right. We don't have to worry too much about players getting injured. I mean, it's Zaniolo, McGinn, Martinez,
Tielemans,
and Kamara, and that's it. I think.
Yeah,
Diaby didn't get called up.
Cash.
Cash, of course, yeah. So 6 players.
Did you say Pau Torres as well?
No, I didn't. So 7. 7.
Yeah,
promise.
There's still a few that are gone, but it's not just that. I think you'd rather have the players around the training ground to practice things on with, but it's sort of a time to gather your thoughts, which isn't actually what Emery really likes to do. I think he likes those match day simulations, he might call it, to put things into practice and keep game fit. But I think it is a good time for the players to gather the thoughts, even if it is away with the international team. That can sort of help sometimes. So we'll see how they come back, and I do think that we'll get a reaction against Palace. We saw that after the Newcastle defeat. That when you've got a game at home after a poor away defeat, I think you get them fired up. So we'll see. I think I could see a 2 or 3, maybe 1 win against Palace, because Palace will still cause us problems. Yeah. But it would be nice to see Moreno back training over the break and see if he comes back in soon, getting some minutes of some kind. It will be such a big addition back into the squad. And as I said to you before we start recording, I cannot wait for Jacob Ramsey to be back available. As you said, the work rate that he has is amazing, but I think people still underplay what he offers off and on the ball in an attacking sense. His running power, his ball carrying, how he gets into the box onto the end of things it's just priceless for us. So yeah, I can't wait for him to be back.
Not long now. It feels like it's too long, really, to miss him. Well, I guess the only other thing I could really think about to touch on is obviously we've had all the transfer windows basically closed, barring I think the Saudi window is open for another 13 days. I think the 17th it closes, or maybe the 7th. There's a 7 in there anyway. Obviously we're done. Looks like we're probably done selling as well. I think Coutinho's not confirmed to go yet, is he? But I think he's destined to. Yeah. So, I think we both described, obviously we were happy with how it ended. I think I can't remember who it was you were responding to on Twitter. You might know, but they said that I think the desire to have a fullback and a goalkeeper in at the window was more of a fan want than a club want, or fan need and a club need. Which I really agreed with, because I was thinking about it the whole summer, and then as soon as Emery's like, I'm fine with Olsen, and then Olsen plays against Hibs and I think does really well. You were there, so you saw it better, but then you are fine with it. So Longley being the only person we brought in, smart loan signing, what we assumed would be purely rotational, but judging by the fact that Diego Costa decided to get injured today, could be seeing more of him than we probably expected to in the coming weeks. But I think it's an exciting squad, and I think the group stage draw was exciting as well. I think the one that stood out for me was AZ. I think that was selfishly, I do quite like the idea of playing against a Netherlands team is always quite exciting. I think they're good games. I think they're going to be great for people to travel away with. The jealousy is high, and I I'll be doing everything I can to try and get down to Villa Park for a home fixture for that, because that's sort of like pure dreamland for me. Obviously didn't get to go to Hibs at home, so well, I think maybe it's actually time to just get re-excited again, because it's been such a busy few weeks. And well, I guess what we should say is, obviously, what I think some people will probably be waiting for us to talk about is obviously the kit giveaway that was put up over on Twitter from AVFC Faithful themselves, ourselves, I guess we should really be saying. And I've got the winner, James. So I'll let you do a drum roll if you'd like. Gone off my phone, so it's going to take a couple more minutes.
Okay, let me know when I can start the drum roll again.
You can start it now. Josh _ Dodd1 a Villa kit of your choice. So do expect a DM from AVFC Faithful, the main account. There'll be a DM in you shortly, just to let you know, and go ahead and pick one. Personally, think you should pick the away kit, but that's just one man's opinion. Although I guess the third show also got announced. Well, it feels like we've been ages since we've been on here, and also got announced. Did you like it, James?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, so
It's all right.
you're the same as me. Third kits are either the best thing in the world, or they're just meh. And I think it doesn't help that the Wolves shirt is exactly the same.
Yeah, that it is a bit irritating, but it is what it is. It's one of the days that I hate in a year. I hate transfer deadline day. I hate England squad release day.
Yeah.
And I hate fucking kit release day. Just
I think I messaged you on deadline day just saying I want this to end. So it was a bad day. It's just painful. It's just painful seeing all the maybes, and you just want it to end. It's just feels like an empty day. Sky's fault.
It really does.
Oh wow. Well, I guess the only thing to say is, obviously, by the time you watch this video, we'll have recorded our next episode. And I'm going to put you on the spot, James, and ask you what people can expect from our next episode and the guest who's coming on.
Yeah, we've got Dan Pritchard coming on. For anyone that's on Twitter, might have seen I retweet quite a bit of his stuff. He's really, really insightful when it comes to analysis and tactics. And I thought it'd be good to get him on, and we could, do a bit of a squad assessment, talk about how he might tactically evolve. And he messaged me after the game and said he was going to suggest talking about how we set up against the big sides. And yeah, we'll see, because there is obviously something that needs to be rectified about it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I love any sort of squad assessment analysis sort of video. So yeah, that'll be out in the coming days. So
yeah, it's an exciting one. We do like talking tactics over here, don't we? It's something I've definitely become a bit more obsessed with, and it's all your fault. So more for it. Beautiful stuff. Well, to those of you that enjoy it, don't know why, but enjoy the international break. And well, we shall see you obviously on our next episode with Dan, and not this one, the other Dan. And we look forward to it. So until next time, up the Villa.